Thank you for joining us today. We are talking brighter, healthier skin, and I have Pearl and Nompikazi that is joining me, and I'm very excited to hear how your skin journey unfolded. So today I am really excited about the conversation that I'm going to have with two phenomenal ladies that both have beautiful businesses and are entrepreneurs in their businesses. And we're going to be talking about brighter skin and skin health and maybe look at debunking a few myths. So Pearl and Nompikazi, thank you for joining me in this podcast.
Happy to be here.
Pearl, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit just about your skin journey or skin health journey?
Phew. I'm Pearl Ossa. You can call me the possibility broker.
Trademarked, right?
Right? And my skin journey has been hectic. I was one of those young girls when I hit puberty who had nothing wrong with her skin, but just had an idea that there should be something wrong with my skin because I'd hit puberty. And so I did everything to my skin. I was scrubbing the skin with...
Like those tonics that were burning. Like, I know exactly what you're talking about because it was a 3-step program.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So we went through those and we didn't need to. I didn't need to, and not for anybody who did need to, but I didn't need to. And so the reason I'm mentioning this is that it's so clear that there's a psychology to skin. And my psychology wasn't right. And it might have been because watching my mom grow up, while I was growing up watching her, she had dark patches that she's never been able to get rid of on her skin, which came from being pregnant with me. So I watched her she had melasma, and I watched her put layers of makeup on to hide that. So for me, skin had an issue. So I would scrub it, and then I had all these natural things. I'd put egg on it. Guys, I went through
egg white masks.
Never heard of an egg white mask.
No, but then I mixed it with all sorts of stuff because in my mind it had to be the egg, and then it was doing the protein thing. Then I needed to mix it with disinfectant.
Before Google, where'd you find these recipes?
Don't know. I
was just going to ask, did you read in magazines or did you just grab the kitchen cupboard?
At that age, I grabbed the kitchen cupboard.
What? Why did you have egg on your face?
I don't know. I think it said something about a peel, and then there was protein. And I mean, I was a teenager. I had no clue what I was doing, but I knew I had to do something. And I think the craziest part of that story is that it didn't stop in my teens. You would think I grew up, I grew out of it.
Sure.
No, I continued. And the more babies I would have, the more I would feel insecure with my skin. I remember a lady telling me once, I went to buy some facial products, and she says to me, the problem is that you're looking at the mirror too much. That's the problem.
I love that lady.
Because she's seeing issues that I'm not seeing.
Yeah.
And she's like, step away from the mirror. So I realized that it's a psychological thing.
Yes.
And I'm not the woman I used to be when it comes to skin. I've gone through a whole journey. And right now I'm my most comfortable, most confident that I've ever been. Okay. Doing the least that I've ever done.
We're going to look at that just now and on what you're doing. Maybe we can go to Nompi first and just, Nompikazi, if you can tell us where your skin journey.
Sure. I really loved what Paul was saying about the psychology of skin, because my journey was definitely starting from within. And, the statement you just made where the lady's like, put the mirror down or like step away from the mirror, where we're looking for problems. I think for me, I didn't like who I saw when I looked into the mirror because I had massive self-esteem issues growing up and my confidence level. So growing up in a single parent household, I would then obviously see features that looked like my dad. Didn't grow up with him, so I could not relate to the person, looking back at me. So that was definitely a deeply like psychological aspect and journey, and especially more spiritual, in my later years, and making peace with that past. And I think where I am right now in terms of my relationship with my skin, it's a lot more healthier because I would pile on the makeup to try and look less and less like him, and be, I'd still look nice, but I would pretty much do a whole glam up every morning, so it's a long time looking into the mirror, trying to, take away that natural look and looking really glammed up every single day. And that became my norm for many years. And I think it's only earlier this year that I've started to, invest more in the time that I spend using the right products. And that's allowed me to really enjoy the benefits of, my natural skin, which has definitely saved me a lot of time. But yeah, I think high level, it's definitely inside looking out, making peace and, giving it to God and being okay with things that still we may not understand today. And I think that's now reflected itself through my skin.
So neither of you really had what we would call a problem skin. You didn't have acne or major dark marks or pigmentation, or you haven't seen any aging changes on your skin.
Yeah, I mean, nothing to, look, they say black don't crack.
Yeah,
but
I'm
I think,
glad you brought that up.
And I think maybe we rest on that laurel too much because
Yes.
I only got to know, and I was really blessed to even be introduced to Lamelle through being in the pageant 2 years ago. Prior to that, I had no idea about Lamelle. I think if I've heard the brand, it was very much in Afrikaans communities, but it's not a household brand in my home, right? So, I mean, growing up, my mom had, that oil, not like bio oil, but those oils.
The tissue oils.
Those tissue
That's
oils.
what we did.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to remember the name, but that was the exposure I had with your Nivea. And again, in our family, our skin problems were never that severe.
Yeah.
But I never really thought I knew there was always intervention needed, but I was like, I don't know if I hadn't reached do I need to be a rich auntie state? How much money do I need to actually start looking after my skin? So exposure to the brand through the pageant helped me better understand that it's not really about looking for problems, but it's at least being, having a proper screening and getting a diagnosis, which gives you a starting point. You now have this information. What are you going to do with it? This is how you can treat what your skin has. And for me, then it's hyperpigmentation. Did not understand what hyperpigmentation was, and that it's an over excessive pigment kind of buildup on our skins. So there was first understanding why this name and this kind of category of a problem. And why do I then need to invest so much in dedicating time in the bathroom twice a day? Where's this going? And thank God, I listened to you, Karen, when you're like, this is how you look after your skin.
Yeah.
And thanks for, looking after us, because I am now really a testimony of proper investment with the knowledge as well in skin health.
Fabulous. I want to go back to black don't crack.
Okay.
So for us, not melanin strong, our lighter skins, what does that mean?
So, I mean, Paul, do you want to come in here? Because
it just means we appear to be ageless. Our mode of aging does not show necessarily in our skin.
Correct.
With what is the norm for aging. We don't do the wrinkles and
Lines and wrinkles and
elasticity.
sagging and
Exactly.
the elasticity.
Yes.
But your skin ages.
Yeah, but we don't see it.
right?
And so we abuse it.
And also, do you remember, I mean, sunscreen. Let's talk
Yes.
about the sunscreen part of it. Because
Yes.
when I was in school, and then like kids, firstly, I never had sunscreen put in my backpack for sports or whatever.
No, because black don't crack.
Well, yeah, we were like, we're fine. You're good. You got extra thick melanin. So that's like your
There's
protective
yeah,
shield.
you're well protected.
Then you go and you use your friend's SPF. Now you're ashy and now you're white. And I'm like, no, it's fine. I can do
Yes.
it out.
Yeah.
And I think also the market was not catering to melanin skin in terms of our complexion. Even doing drama, if you're performing on stage, you use foundation. It was their mother's foundation. Now you're a ghost on stage. I mean, so like there's trauma to being like, okay, I know what's good for my skin in terms of the standard. And it's only, I can maybe say the past 10 years that I've seen products now in the
Focusing
marketplace.
on.
Absolutely, because I don't want to put on, and even today, if there was still SPF that made me look ashy, forget it. It's
So there are a
strong.
few things that I think we need to, or that I'd like to fall in with. So I think that I love the line black don't crack. It is about the lines and the wrinkles.
Right.
And that's just related to light skin and sun exposure. So dark skin is more protected,
Sure.
but you're not completely protected, because when we look at sun protection initially, we're only looking at UVA and UVB frequencies, and those the melanin in your skin will block. to
Okay.
a certain extent. The challenge is that you're still exposed to heat and light, or visible light, and those do age your skin. But the aging is different. You might see textural change,
Sure.
definitely dull skin,
Okay.
fine lines. And then we have this challenge where in some cases you'll see older women have dark, or older women and men,
Sure.
not just
Yeah.
have an area of darkness.
Right.
So where those melanocytes have just been overexposed. So we talk about pigmentation irregularities. And I do think that our focus of our product ranges in the market before were very much focused on aging skin and light skin, because that's what the feeling was, that's the biggest market. But we've definitely come to realize that using a growth factor, fixing your dermis in a dark skin or a melanin-rich skin, becomes mute. It's not necessary. Where we need to really look at how we make sure that when you are sun exposed, that you don't have the darkening.
For sure.
So you don't have the hyperpigmentation. And that's definitely where Luminesse comes into
Yeah.
play. And both of you are using Luminesse. So
100%.
who wants to start with how you saw your skin change with the Luminesse? And did it change?
It changed for me immensely. So I'm coming from not having problems and manufacturing the problems to now thinking that I'm maintaining. I remember the time we had the conversation and I said to you, I'm using apple cider vinegar as a toner, diluted alcohol. Clutch your pearls, girl.
Father God.
As a toner, and then I had rice water.
I can't remember what you were using for
I
that
gave you a
combination.
list. Yes, I used to use iced rice water for my pores, and it also kind of brightened the skin. And you looked at me very politely and tried to help me get through all of that clutter. Then came in Luminesse. So I'd gone in for a diagnosis and found out that I did have hyperpigmentation, and exactly what you're saying, things I'd never looked at before. Because I thought bad skin was just that it was rough, it had zits, which would happen, hormonally from time to time. But I didn't realize that I could have even-toned skin. It was
Yes.
actually a thing. So I had dark patches. It was smooth, it was beautiful, but it wasn't even.
No.
Come Luminesse, and I gave it 3 months
Yeah.
or so.
And we did a peel or two.
We did a peel or two, and then the texture, and then the brightness of the skin. Now, remember, I've had so many babies, and every time I'm pregnant, there's a darkening of my skin. So I got used to that. I'm pregnant, and my nose is black, my neck is black. It's all patchy, and that's what stayed after each pregnancy. So then come Luminesse, and then there's this, like, oh, that's what was under there. I'd sit down with baby pictures with my children and they'd be like, how was your skin so bright? And we're back there now in my 40s, right? So it's been I think, just a blessing of a journey to have discovered or been discovered, or whichever way it was, by Lamelle. But I'm loving however it works. But it was one of God's blessings, I think, for me.
Fabulous. Numpi?
Definitely now I'm taking out of your book as a preventative measure because I don't have kids as yet. But it's definitely a reason to stay on the Luminesse range in terms of, that buildup that comes when pregnancy hits hormonally. But I can definitely echo, Pearl, your sentiments in terms of how quickly you see the results, the elasticity as well, and that even toning. So look, I've got combination skin as well, so it gets a bit oily here and there. But I think just the general evenness of it and the tone, I think that's also what gave me the confidence to no longer rely as much on the makeup. But initially, I remember when I started the journey with Luminesse, people thought I was lightening my skin. Yeah, so I'd had either comments from family, okay, so now you're part of the pageants, because that, let's not forget, this is how it started, right? The journey.
Yes.
It's okay, so now you're going to be on stage, you want to now try and brighten. Remember Bo Auntie, when you grew up, they had that clay mask. It was like a red clay,
Yeah.
I just have images of being a toddler and just always looking up someone not breastfeeding, but because mom didn't do it, but women who are looking after us always seem to have that clay, which seems to have been a lightening kind of treatment. Funny enough, that same product is used to grow hairline, just as a side note.
Oh, thank
and
you.
apparently it works really, really well.
Oh, okay,
so
thank
it's
you.
like, I'm just going to try and remember that name as well. But coming back to skin, like the facial
Probably
skin.
hydroquinone.
Could be, but it's like in a tube.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But
Okay,
isn't that like, doesn't it burn? Isn't it acidic? Isn't it?
So I think that we have to talk about brightening and
Yeah.
lightening, and so when we're lightening, we are depigmenting the skin.
Right.
We're not only removing cells that contain a little bit of overproduction of pigment,
Right.
but what we're doing is we're stopping the melanocyte, we're stripping the melanocyte of its melanin.
So like a discoloration
A
almost.
discoloration. So you're creating, and at Lamelle, we would never suggest that you do
Yeah.
that. The challenge is that your skin has been given to you to protect you. And when you start fiddling with the melanocyte and when you are depigmenting it, so we can calm the melanocyte down, and that's what we do with Luminesse,
Sure.
so that we get a brighter skin. So what we're doing is we are affecting what the environment and your lifestyle has done to your skin. We're
sure.
not affecting your natural pigmentation production. So lightening is affecting your natural pigmentation production, that pigment that you were born with, and that's dangerous.
Yeah.
We don't know what the long-term effects of that is. And especially if you think about the fact that you were brought up not to wear sunscreen. If you are now lightening your skin and you're not wearing sunscreen, it's a double whammy risk for skin cancer.
For sure.
Okay. Where brightening is just about managing that mottled, I talk about mottled pigment. Mottled is marbly like pigment.
Okay.
We've got areas of darkening and
Yeah.
areas of lightening. Luminesse also works very well on areas of hyperpigment, but we would use it in a darker skin as an age correction and age prevention
Interesting.
kind of product range. And there are ingredients that have been added that are different so that we can handle this pigment as well as potentially not allowing your skin to age
Yeah.
in a way that you would be uncomfortable with it.
But I think that just talks to how quickly and effective it is. If people then, let's say a couple of weeks see you and assume that you've now lightened your skin, that talks to how effective the products are, but not because they're lightening, but they're brightening. So it's almost like cleansing toxins that are like maybe resting on the surface of the skin. And Karen, please correct me if I'm medically incorrect here.
That's a very good way of saying it.
It's
yeah.
like it's a detox.
So
It's
we're just removing
spring
those
clean.
cells that have got more pigment in them than they should.
Correct.
So the retinoids in there, this is a retinoic acid ester. It's called hydroxypinocolone retinoate. And what that does is it increases the speed and turnover of the skin.
Sure.
And that has anti-aging effects as well. It's also really good at creating more collagen in your skin. So the fact that you have dilated pores means that there's some dermal aging, which we can then fix with the retinoids. So it is about moving those cells that are just sitting there with more pigment in them,
Correct.
but also making sure that you are well protected from the sun, you are well protected from free radicals, and all of those things will help the melanocyte to produce healthy levels of pigment.
Right. So it's not
So
overproducing.
that it's not overproducing because it thinks it has to protect you.
Right.
Sunscreen also helps, and it's unfortunate that the first sunscreens that were produced using white pigments,
For sure.
zinc and titanium, and those then do leave an ashy layer on the skin. I can remember the first time I saw it, I couldn't understand this. Okay, was very white before. I couldn't understand this, and I was doing a treatment in Lenasia.
Yeah.
Indian clients, and the lady was doing her mother, and I was standing at the end of the bed, and she put her mom down, and I just saw gray and brown. I'm like, okay,
Night and day.
now I
There's
know
a
what the
machine.
ashiness
Night and
looks
day.
like.
Yeah.
Where now sunscreens are developed so that they don't leave that ashiness. They actually leave your skin nice and beautiful and healthy.
Yeah.
And that's another fallacy, is dark skin doesn't need to wear sunscreen. Dark skin actually does have a higher risk for getting skin cancer.
Oh, gosh.
And with the amount of exposure that we have to the sun,
Yeah.
we need to be wearing our sunscreen daily. And I always believe that's sort of the first and best thing you can do for yourself.
absolutely.
There are two things: skin routine And sunscreen.
But now I need to get like men, like our husbands, to wear like SPF. I feel like I'm going to be that kind of wife who has to nag constantly because I understand the benefits of, or the dangers behind not wearing sunscreen. So I can't be someone in the household. I'm the only one now well looked after from head to toe. I don't know, Paul, if you've managed, because you've got what, 10 boys, 1 girl?
Yeah.
How do you drive this message? Like,
You see, I think my children live by watching me. So I've not had to drive a message. I'm kind of in that space of, are you still in the bathroom kind of thing? Because they're in their teens. They're taking the message very seriously. But you're right. I think the need to extend the message to our husbands, because if you can imagine the backgrounds we grew up in as women, how much more the men?
Yeah.
It just wasn't a thing, right? And so now I'm trying to get my hubby on that. He's hit his 50s. I'm coming slowly behind, and we're looking at each other and counting the white hairs. And now it's getting real.
Sure.
And he still has that black don't crack look, not even the mentality, the
sure.
look, right? So he doesn't look old. But I can see, simply because of the education I've had with Lamelle, I can see where there's patches. I can see the change in his skin tone. Which he's oblivious to.
Yeah.
So I've become that wife.
Right. I mean, does it go as far as like now spraying the SPF or like literally administering the SPF? Karen, I don't know if you...
Before he wakes up quickly
No,
in
like
the
seriously,
morning,
like you got to
slap
do...
the SPF on
And
him.
men are stingy, or let me
Yes.
rather say so he'll put on like maybe 2 pumps of lotion for the whole body. And I'm like, no, that can't... We need to
be
fix
good.
this. We've got to... There's an allocation, pumps per
Per limb.
Face, and especially because a lot of men who wear short hair, like, so my husband's normally cheesecop, so no hair. I'm thinking about tear sun exposure. They're playing golf. It's hot now. Fine, they wear caps, but I'm thinking about his neck, his time in the
Ears.
car, ears. So do we pin them down and smear on the SPF?
I think we find an SPF that they're comfortable with.
Okay.
And I think that's also something that is, at Lamelle, we've really looked at getting a lotion type sunscreen. You're using the Urban Defense.
Urban Defense, yeah.
So it's a more comfortable sunscreen, and it is about educating them as well. Though sometimes they won't listen. But we will continue to educate, and we will continue to talk to them and say, you're important to me. I don't want you to get skin cancer.
On my side, it's a little different. I think because for us, the relationship with Lamelle is more than skin deep.
Right.
So when he's come through, coming with me to come get my products or whatever, and just having conversations, because that's what Lamelle is. It's just family hanging around. And in the hangout, it's been raised that I remember the last time, and he was like, "Oh, it's for men too."
Yes,
That's the
it's for men
strategy.
too.
As soon as he got
Why
that,
did you not tell us to bring our husband's car into the shooting?
so he wasn't using it because he just assumed
That
this
it
is
was a
something
girl
here for
thing.
my girl, and
that's it.
let's spoil her. Soon as he heard it's for boys also, he was like, "And you didn't tell me?"
Yeah.
So he's on it. It's not a struggle for me.
Well
And
done.
we can simplify the processes for them until they want a little bit more.
For sure.
And we can still make sure that they're well protected and that they have brighter skin. So we do different. We don't have a men's range. Because skin is skin.
Yeah.
So regardless of if it's a man or a woman or a child or an adult,
Yeah.
we need to be protecting, and especially when we're looking at sun protection.
Sure.
So can I ask you, for the benefit of my children, how early is too early for the Luminous range?
So I wouldn't put your children on the Luminous range because they don't need active inhibition, but what
Yes.
they need is protection. So the Nourish range with its antioxidants would be an option. How young do we start putting sunscreen on babies? 6 months.
Oh.
Before 6 months, their skin isn't ready for sunscreen. And yeah, there are a lot of baby products out there. We have been asked for baby products, but not producing them yet.
Okay.
So we can put sunscreen on babies that are 6 months old. My question is always just, why is your baby in the sun when they're 6 months old? But just so that you do know.
Okay. And so the Nourish would start from what age?
Nourish, you could start from any age. Okay. Good skin routine starts in your teens. How do I know my child is ready? When girls start to menstruate and boys start to get hair under their arms.
Oh, there we
Okay.
go.
That's that's the easiest.
Rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Put a manual together, like when to activate certain interventions.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll
full
do
amount.
that.
That makes so much sense. So it'll be like, sunscreen from 6 months, a skin routine from the teens.
That's it.
Switch it up in your 20s.
That's
do this
it.
in your 30s, 40s, etc.
But we didn't have that growing up though, right?
So we put egg on our faces.
So we literally put an egg on.
We're back at the egg and the bicarb. And now you have social media. So you're going to see the interesting things that your children are going to be following the influencers. So may we be influencers that have a positive effect on our market.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much for the conversation. I don't know if they've got any other questions for me.
No, I've got a few hacks now. I'm going to bring hubby to the next get together for Lamelle. These are just better sales for me. Like for my monthly, maintenance package, put hubby and I in the same budget. That when he's paying, it just makes life so much easier. Like it's a 2-in-1 package. I'm loving this. So no, I'm good.
Wonderful.
Yeah, no, I'll just repeat this. I think Lamelle was one of the best things to happen to me out of the pageant journey, in the journey of being 40 and being more confident in my skin than I've ever been before. I'm doing less and getting more. I'm a happy camper.
Fabulous. So just to close off, I'd like to just mention the Luminesse range. So our Luminesse range, how do we do it different? We use cutting edge first to market ingredients that are really focused on calming down the melanocyte, but also protecting from an antioxidant point of view. And then, of course, we've got a range of sunscreens that we really use to protect the skin. We might combine that with serums, depending on what your needs are. And hopefully, we'll keep your skin healthy, bright, and young for a very long time to come. Thank you very much, ladies, for joining me in the conversation.
That was fun.
Listen to this podcast on all audio platforms and please share it with people who you think would value this information.